Alright, welcome back to the Rusty Dusty Picker. This is Kevin, and what I want to show you today is how I make lighthouses on specifically a version of the Fire Island lighthouse on a piece of acrylic. What I did is I drew and then I cut out with a X-Acto blade stencils for the black portion and for the white portion. And what I do is I take a piece of acrylic that's pre-cut. I might as well give you the dimensions of it for giggles. It's 5.5 by 3.5 inches, and it has a protective coating. So we're going to take one side of the coating off, which we will paint. Like so. And we'll do the white portion of it first. Just load up the brush nice and lightly. Position the stencil just where you want it. We're going to use this to make a sign as well, so I'm going to try and move quickly through this. Once again, it's just a piece of mylar stencil paper, for lack of a better word, that you can buy blanks of and make your own stencils. So just like that, we have the white portion. Almost knocked you over. And now we're going to do the black. Position it where you want it. That should probably do it. I mean, it's not a perfect representation of the Fire Island lighthouse, but you know, nor is anything else other than a picture. And it comes out looking pretty good, typically. Usually come back and you can see how it's off there. You just come back, expand it a little bit. No reason to panic. It's all good. Same with the black. We need a little more love on this side, like this. Okay, halfway decent version. I'll probably touch it up later as well. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you, is that we're going to drill holes with a drill bit, 4 holes for the screws that will attach it to the piece of wood sign that we end up making. So there's a rough example, very quick example of making a lighthouse, in this case the Fire Island lighthouse here on Long Island, for use on a sign. So let's take a break. Okay, so now we can drill holes in the corners here, where we're going to, this is a piece of scrap wood. This is not what we're going to use for the sign that we're going to make. But I'm just going to carefully drill 4 holes for the gold screws that we're going to attach it to the wood later. So for that, I'll just use a drill bit, position it right about there. So there's one. Using a slow to a moderate speed. You don't want to have any cracking. You don't want to rush it. Okay. If you notice, you also want to have the drill running when you're pulling it out. No comment. And this will go here. And the reason for that is that so you don't crack or splinter the acrylic. Okay. All right, it's looking good. There's the holes. So let me go get a piece of wood and we will continue. All right, so I picked out a piece of wood for this example. It's a small piece, about 14 inches, a little less in length. Something I had stained in a walnut, and then I come back and sand it. I sand it down to lighten it up, and I also sand most everything I do to be more friendly on the hands. So usually I'll get a nice rounded edge, no splinters. Once again, just to be, much more friendly to handle. So what we're simply going to do is, and we'll do this last. Let me think here. Yeah, we'll do it this way. This will be attached here, but for now I'm just going to do a fire island in stencil. And I might even put I might even stencil in a seagull or what have you, just as an accent underneath the lighthouse. So let me fire through the lettering as we go. I like this font on this stencil. It's reminiscent of what the new Jones Beach signs. What do they call that? I forget. From the late 40s into the 50s, it was called. Tell me below if I don't get it. I probably won't because I'm working, but it was called the Art Deco period, I believe. Like the Chrysler Building. If you ever been in the lobby of the Chrysler Building, or a lot of the stuff during the filming of Mad Men, you'll see a lot of Art Deco. So anyway, I should put my glasses on. I'm still suffering from CSS. Can't see stuff. All right. Try to, you can get used to, spacing things out. One hint when using a stencil, especially if the letter is in the same row as you've used, is you can line up the next letter with a part of the letter before it of a similar size or shape. So I'll use the vertical line here from the I to help keep the R lined up, if you know what I mean. And if you completely screw it up, and you quickly can just get a wet rag and it'll come right off. It's not that big of a deal. Not looking for perfection. Let the guys that use computers to make signs, let them go for perfection, because that's what they paid for with their equipment. We don't use computers here. All right, so we got the E coming here. I'm going to do the same thing. Get my horizontal spacing from the vertical line. Tap very lightly. You can always add. As I always say, you can't take away very easily. there's fire. That's a fire. All right, so all right, we'll start it right about here. Sometimes if you don't, sometimes if you're not sure if you're all skewed, you can just relate it to the line at the edge of the piece to the top of the stencil, and that can give you a pretty good reference point. Too much paint on the brush. Still too much paint on the brush. Got away with it. Gonna use the just like that. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm using a vanilla is the color I'm using. I usually use like a vanilla or a parchment or something that's, or eggshells a little too white too, but it's just, it gives things a better look. It gives them a more dated look than bright white all the time. I've just found that I like the result a lot better that way, especially if you're making things that you would like to have the appearance of having been around for a while. And it shows up just fine. Trying to do this, I'm trying to get this done quickly here, just so the video isn't too long and I don't have to do too many fast forwarding or acrobatics to keep it under, say, 25 minutes or so. Gotta control that paint, Kev. Okay. Yeah, too much paint, it will escape very quickly right underneath the stencil. You'll see that. Happens to everybody. But to the extent you can keep paint off the brush, the better. Just make this D a little bit, just go a little bit north of the previous letter, because it looked like this is a very absorbent brush. I usually don't use soft brushes that are that soft. It just sucks the paint right in. Okay, there we go. So the Fire Island part is done. So we're gonna I'll do it now. We're gonna have a seagull, and we're gonna want it under, as if it's flying behind the lighthouse here. So we're gonna put it right up in here, right up in there on an angle, hovering, doing its thing, looking for French fries. I'm not pleased with that at all. This brush has about 10 seconds left in its life. Let's just say that. And it's gone. All right, let's let this dry, and I'll come back. We'll finish it up. We'll show you the rest of the tricks to getting this done. So what I'd like to do before attaching the lighthouse is I want to add NY down here for New York. I meant to do that before, but let's do that real quick. Different stencil. Couldn't be simpler. Got a real brush this time. Actually works. It's helpful. Okay, there's our N. Tap tap going. This Y, I like this. Once again, I like this font as well. But this Y, I always add a little extra to the bottom. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. You see how that always comes up short. That's what, okay, so we're just going to add a little. Just give it a little more. All right, and I'll show you my trick to put dots on there. Periods, or what have you. So, hang on. All right, excuse me. So for the periods, I usually use the end of a nail. For a small one, I'll use the butt end of a small nail, and if it's, you know, if it's larger, for a larger letter, I use the back of even a screw, and just place them by hand that way, and it just comes out very defined and crafty. You see that? Takes a little longer to dry, but when it does, it's a good look, and it's easy, and you don't need a stencil. You just need to rely on your spacing. So there's that. Okay. So I think we can attach, you can go ahead and attach the lighthouse now. What I'm doing now is I'm peeling the back off, which is pretty cool. You'll see how clear this piece actually is, which is fantastic. So that's what we're looking at. So take the other drill, and I'll tell you beforehand, when you are screwing into this, you do not want to tighten it, you know, further than just making contact with the acrylic itself, for obvious reasons. You can shatter it. There's no reason to. Just carefully get it there. Make sure you're lined up reasonably well. Just enough to hold it tight. Do the diagonal first. Make sure we got a line there. Okay, that's two. I think we're good. That's close enough for my liking. fast. Okay. All right. So there we are. That's attached. Very good. We will put a clear coat on this. This needs a coat of something. It unfortunately takes away a little bit of the transparency, but otherwise, you know, even something so much as a fingernail can ding it up, and you can lose some paint that way. If it's something that I know is going to go right on the wall, then I don't do that. So actually, I might not do that now. I'll just do this portion, just to preserve it, especially if it's going to be on somebody's deck or outside. It really needs to have some protection. So we'll do that in a little bit. All right, let's put a coat of a sealer on here. We're going to use a clear poly, oil-based, which should darken it some, which I do not mind in this situation. It should bring out the contrast between the lighter letters and the natural features of the wood. Let me just tape it off here so we're not getting it on the acrylic. That should do it. That should do it. The paint is now dried enough that I'm hopefully not worried about screwing that up, having it bleed or anything, so we'll see. Definitely want to brush this on. I think it goes without saying, this is not the pat part. This is, you want to go with the grain, get it in there. We're going to do the top and the bottom as well. Yeah. And the sides, try to go with the grain as much as you can. Whoopsie, almost lost you there. All right. All right, so that should do it. Let's let that dry and we can finish it up. Okay, we're all finished. It's dried, it's ready to go. Very simple. Here's our lighthouse. Stenciling. Nice finish on it. And it's ready to go. So if you like these videos, feel free to subscribe. You can also hit the thumbs up if it's something you enjoy. And that's it. We'll see you next time around. Thanks for coming.